I'm probably not gonna beat you, but shit, I'm gonna try.
So what's your character?
I'll just take who the fuck I got right now. I'll just take fucking. I'll just take fucking Magic the Gathering. I'll just take Composite.
Who? I never heard of that.
Well,
All right,
I'll just
I'll just choose let me think.
I was
Give me a
about to
second.
use Goku. I was about to use Goku.
I'll just look through my mains real quick. See, what are we doing? Give me a second. I'm choosing the character. I'm just trying to find the scan because
You're just gonna use Rimuru or Kratos. You gonna use Rimuru or Kratos or something.
It's a character from Marvel.
Marvel, okay.
Because do. Fucking god, I can't find this.
Use a fucking Scarlet Witch or some shit.
No.
Or?
No.
I'm about to find out.
The notifications is not fucking popping up. I think they do it faster.
I hear a word you just said. What?
The notifications of the messages on Discord just stop talking fucking poking up. I could get to it faster.
Okay. Right.
Oh my god. It's some DeMar son.
A DeMar, okay. Actually, his shit isn't bad.
It's the character he was using.
Oh, Oblivion?
Oh yeah, that guy.
I mean, I could have just said can he erase himself? He passively erases himself, but niggas trying to bait me. I told him on. I'll set the laws though, because I did lose. Yeah, they want me to start.
Yeah, he was bad.
Let me get the shit real quick, because I was not getting it. It's actually on your server, my org I'm about to use. So yeah. Actually, no, it's not. Never mind. Where the fuck is it? I probably got it on something else. Hold on. Yeah, hold up. Alright.
You got it.
Yeah, hold up. It's gotta get it's like fucking in the back of my fucking files. But yeah. Cause I changed my mind on the org, because I'd rather use this. No, fuck, it's right here. Alright. So this nigga right here, you can see in the scan it says you cannot lose the game and your opponent cannot win the game. Oh, did I actually send it? Oh, no, I sent it in the wrong fucking server. Alright. I'm just sending it in general. Okay, see this game right here. I said I send it now. You cannot lose this game and your opponent cannot win this game. Therefore. So yeah, he just wouldn't lose, which is my premise, which I said. Did I say premise? I don't fucking know. That was my premise.
That would be a proposition.
Yeah. Yeah, my proposition was he wasn't lose, and this is the premise. Premises that follow from the proposition here, which is this game right here. Conclusion, he would win, or he wouldn't lose, whatever.
Like absolute victory, real quick, if I know.
To be honest, like everyone in that verse has it. This shit's fucking.
So there's absolute victory. Right?
Yeah, it's just victory in it.
Absolute victory would be a state of like abstract type things. Do you agree?
Sure, I guess.
So basically, because does your character go through a form of change? Because you do know that victory is a form of change, right?
No, not really.
It has a cause and effect type situation,
Yeah,
so that would mean
cause
it's the
and
change
effect.
of a situation.
Yeah, the affected victory has a change, right? But me winning this battle or whatever. But the actual concept of a victory that exists within the world, within your mind or whatever, does not go through change. It's just basically a form of victory or what did Plato call it? The form or whatever. Yeah, that shit goes through change, or the imperfect copies of absolute victory, which is subject to change.
You're just starting because it's a mental aspect and a concept. It can't go through change.
Yeah, the concept doesn't go through change, but
You
the
do
actual
know
effect.
what metaphysical change is, right?
Yeah, I do.
Even if we were to assert that it can't go through change, just so you know, time and physically is only like one form of change. So basically, it could still go through a form of change just metaphysically because going through this, it's not physical. It's just a mental and conceptual assertion. So it's not physical, but it would still exist in a way that it can be affected by this certain types of change.
Yeah.
Okay, so you agree it can't go through change, so it wouldn't be abstract, and that removes the absolute victory
Well,
part about it.
I didn't really agree. I just say yeah, because I had nothing else to say.
Yeah, you saying yeah would literally just agree to what I
Well,
just said.
no, I didn't agree. I didn't agree. I just said that.
Okay, so if you just said that, then you're basically just asserting yeah as an answer.
No, I didn't be that as an answer. I just said that. So yeah, you repeat your R real quick.
I'll just repeat my real quick. So basically, because even if we do assert it can't go through a form of change, it's still a mental and conceptual type aspect, which is a non-physical type thing. Basically, because of this, we could just assert that it can go through a metaphysical change. A metaphysical change is change with no time. Because time is only one form of physical change that goes through non-linear and linear as well, because it's still bounded by the same, time. We can also just assert that. The fuck is that shit? Hold on. Alright, anyways, we can also just assert that because of this, it's still a form of change in the aspect for the concept, which would mean that it's still like going through conditions and it's not unconditional. So it's still a form of change upon the aspect of it.
Yeah, what are we
A
arguing
concept,
about?
a concept doesn't necessarily mean it's like absolute. So
Wait, what are we
So,
arguing about?
fucking card games.
What the what kind of Yu-Gi-Oh scaling?
No, the other one.
Magic the Gathering scaling?
Yes.
Well, I was about to. I was gonna move on to Hearthstone and then Pokemon, the TCG of Pokemon.
Why the fuck would I? Or anyway, yeah. So basically, what you're saying, Seiba, is that since this nigga is going through some metaphysical change, he's going through change, therefore isn't abstract.
basically, because it's a form of change, abstract concepts cannot go through a form of change. I'll explain why. Because if we
Yeah,
take
I
the
know why.
nature of like an abstract type thing, like say, for example, a wheel. A wheel is a set property that doesn't change at all. It's still the same purpose for its nature throughout that said conception. So the nature governs the same idea that it goes through. So it won't change via that nature. So we can just assert that it wouldn't really be dependent on that. So we could just say it's not like an absolute victory type state. It'd just be like victory manipulation.
Yeah,
Would you agree upon that?
I never said it was absolute. I just said it was victory, but no.
You agreed that it was absolute victory
No, I
earlier.
said it was
So
victory.
that'd be,
We could check
you
the
said,
record. I said it was victory, but yeah,
yeah, sure. We could literally just check the right. You agree that it would be absolute
that's my
victory
choice.
earlier.
I said it was victory. Anyway, whatever. It's fine.
You said it was absolute victory. You agreed when I asked that question. You're basically just submitting a backtrack.
Well, I guess I'm misremembering, but sure, I guess.
So then it
Also, I'm
wouldn't
stealing
necessarily.
that fucking debunk. I'm also stealing that fucking debunk, by the way,
You're stealing my debunk.
for absolute hacks. Like, I'm stealing that shit, gang.
All right, go ahead. All right, so basically, we could just now say it isn't necessarily an abstract type existence and just say it's victory manipulation. So I believe I have no further contentions to that then.
That's fine.
All right. So moving on from this point, I think I could start my scaling.
Yeah, that's fine.
Do you know what a standard premise is?
Yeah,
You mind defining it real quick?
standard premise is a fucking basically a premise that comes from the fucking proposition. For example,
Right, so
think of
basically, my
yeah, I'm just thinking.
proposition would just be that a Bolivian
Yeah,
kid is it just basically doesn't lose via just erasure and
yeah,
can
it
remove
comes from
set properties of your existence.
yeah,
I'll just send the scan.
that's fine.
Okay, so basically what it asserts here is that he is basically the end of all things. So we could just assert that since he's the end of all things, we could assert that a cross-verse battle, he can negate any mortal world and a possibility where your character wins. So we could say if there's a probability and a possibility, he collapses all those worlds where you win and all the others where he loses. So we could just say there's only one possible world, and that's him just winning each time. And via that, he could just erase your existence in a possible world. And that, so yeah.
Contention. So he's the end of all things. Would you agree that he's included within that predicate as always a universal quantifier, which would apply to all existential objects, which would include your character?
I disagree that it would, because it's basically coming from him, I think it would have only effect on the output.
Yeah, it doesn't really contradict the ability because he's the end of all things, which would imply for that, your perception is to him destroy all mobile possible worlds, whatever. And him to do it, this implies that yeah, you would just destroy passively or just destroy all possible worlds, but there would be no possible worlds at all. That's what I get from that.
Okay, so first you misread my argument, or actually you misheard, because I explained that he would collapse all worlds where you would win and where he would lose. And there's only going to be one world where he just constantly wins. Via being the end of all things, he would also just destroy you, by the way.
Yeah, I know. But I'm saying like
You're saying because if he's the end of all things, it would basically be the end of himself too, right?
Yeah.
But I could also just say, via his nature, since he's the end of all things, it would be very much the truth, because that's his conceptual nature. We could just simply say it's an ontological aspect of existence, and he would have a greater value via this, and via him being the truth, anything he does would be axiomatic and truth within universal principles. So we could say if he just decides to also just say he doesn't get erased by this effect, we could also just apply his nature follow through that, and he would be protected from that attack, or
Why would
actually
that?
passive maneuver.
Okay, so why would he be axiomatic? Because he's the end of all things.
I also, by the way, it also states inside the scan that it's his nature and identity for that.
Yeah.
So we could just apply self-evidency for that.
Yeah,
And in fact, we could just say it's identical to one another. So we could say if his nature was surely to be the case, he could just negate the truth as well. So if it's a truth that he will be also just erased by it, he would be the end of that truth naturally and conceptually. So the idea wouldn't exist anymore about him being erased.
Wouldn't the truth be an abstract concept or some sort of abstraction or subsistence?
We could also just say, since he's not all things, he could just negate abstract properties.
So like, here's my contention though, because if he's the end of all things, I already said that shit. So like, all right, finally the scan fucking loaded. I can actually read it now. All right, I just knew what the scan was. That does today.
Give me a second.
Yeah, can you give some empirical justification for this? Of him actually doing everything you just said.
Oh, empirical justification.
Yeah, that he can erase people. You could just be yapping. He could just be yapping.
His nature would already justify that, by the way.
Yeah, but
I wouldn't have to justify it because of his nature.
Yeah, it's his nature. He could say it's his nature. It's a claim. It could be true or false. You're just asserting that it would just be true. So I can say my nature is to win all debates, but does that mean it's my actual nature? No, because I've lost to niggas before, and that I just made that shit up. So yeah.
Give me a second. I gotta let somebody in.
Someone in?
Yeah, my house.
But I'm sorry for being a fucking skeptic though. That's how you win all debates.
Sorry. I'm back. All right, so you're just asserting because it's just a claim it wouldn't still be true, right?
It could be, no, could not, or could not be true.
Okay, so say there's a 70% chance of this being true, and there's a 30% chance of this being false. Since there's a higher value of it being true, we could just likely take it to be this case.
But yeah, this was a higher value, it means more probable, but does not dismiss the falsity of it. Even if it was, you haven't substantiated why this would be true or false.
Oh, so does it substantiate that real quick?
Yeah, it doesn't.
Okay, so basically just saying we could take it more likely to be the case, though. You're not necessarily attacking the point of it being the case. Since we could just go off this assumption, it doesn't necessarily mean that it would have to be like. Actually, you know what? I can empirically justify this real quick.
Yeah.
So since his identity, right, is necessarily the end of all things, right? Since we could just apply it to logical law, and we can apply that it would logically have to conclude, because based upon the self-efficacy claim and identity about this. So basically, you can't really contradict the identity of someone.
Yeah, but like that's still a claim.
It's still a claim.
Yeah.
Yeah, but still, you can logically just conclude that it will be his identity at the end of all things, and it still justifies that since it is his identity.
Yeah, but it's still a claim made by him that it is his identity. Is it not? What if he's lying?
Wait, repeat that real quick.
What if he's lying about all this, his entire statement? What if he's just lying or making shit up?
Okay, so real quick, can you justify how he would be lying?
Well, you have no actual probabilistic outcome for why he would be telling the truth. Therefore, I'm under equal interpretation via the same
Can you
evidence.
empirically prove that real quick? Empirically prove that he is lying about this? Can you justify why he would be lying about this? Like, what makes you think a Bolivian of all people would lie about that? Can you just empirically prove he's lying?
I'm just saying I'm under equal interpretation because we have the same amount of evidence. That's a shitty ass art, but fuck it. That what if he is lying?
So we could just imply equal interpretation to both our claims, right? So
Yeah.
I would still be justifying how it's still like this can be the case. So it's still justified either way if we do include equal interpretation.
Yeah. Probably I'm not really trying to debate at this point. I'm just making shit up. So I'm just saying words.
Would you like to concede?
Sure, fuck it. I was kind of like I started saying about the fucking skeptic shit. I just kind of started yapping. So yeah.